There are a ton of Nintendo Switch controllers out there, some more popular than others, but there is one that has taken the entire gaming world by storm. It's the NYXI Wizard Wireless Joypad. The main reason for all this excitement is that it looks and feels like something that we know and love, something that we're very familiar with. Do you know what it is? It's the good old GameCube controller. The Wizard is a GameCube style controller for the Nintendo Switch that can either be used wirelessly with the Switch or attached to the console in place of your regular Joy-Con. However, the excitement doesn't just stop at its form factor. The Wizard is packed with tons of cool features like Hall effect joysticks, so there's no drifting, illuminated A, B, X, Y buttons, removable joysticks and replaceable joystick rings, the ability to be used as a wireless controller or as Joy-Cons attached to your Switch, and adjustable turbo and mapping functions, as well as a 6-axis gyro for motion controls. The Wizard here is definitely rich with features. However, it is not perfect. So throughout this video, I hope to share with you everything that you need to know about this new controller, from its pros to its cons, and ultimately help you decide if this controller is right for you. Before we get started on that though, let's rewind to a quick unboxing and setup. Okay, so when you get the NYXI Wireless Joypad, you'll notice that it arrives nicely packaged. Inside, you'll find the controller itself, 2 joystick rings that can be swapped out with the ones on the controller, some documentation, and a USB-C charging cable. The Wizard is a very light controller. That's the first thing that surprised me. In fact, it's a lot lighter than you would expect it to be. Part of the reason for this is that the controller is mostly made of plastic. It does have a plasticky feel to it, but it doesn't feel cheap. The controller can be used like this wirelessly with your Switch or attached to your Switch like a pair of Joy-Con. This makes your Switch setup absolutely massive, but it makes for a unique experience. Like, who would have thought back in the day that we would get to use a GameCube style controller like this? It's pretty cool. The buttons on the Wizard are also quite nice. They're all smooth and feel great when you press them. To me, only the A button has a bit of a mushy feel to it. The triggers are also nice and clicky. They don't have as much travel as the original GameCube controller, but they're still good. I'll do a comparison of the button sounds and feels between the Wizard and the original GameCube controller later on in this video. One of the cool features that the Wizard offers is turbo functionality, which is pretty neat, and it's surprisingly easy to set up. It's a great way to program some tricky combos to use in a flash. You also have the ability to set up macros. The Wizard lets you remap buttons anywhere, including to the 2 buttons on the back of the controller. These are both awesome features that I found to be easy to use and easy to set up. They can definitely kick things up to a whole new level in the games that you play. Another unique feature this controller offers is the ability to easily remove the joysticks and the joystick rings around them. The controller comes with 4 of these things in total, so you can easily swap them in and out to better suit the game that you're playing. It's super easy to remove these things anytime that you want. All of this aside, I know a lot of you guys are wondering how this controller is for Super Smash Bros. Well, it's actually pretty good for it. Since it has a similar feel to a GameCube controller, it makes for an experience that feels familiar but at the same time feels different. The reason I say this is because the shape of the controller feels familiar, but it's the buttons that aren't exactly the same. It's very close to the original, but it's not quite the same. For casual fun Smash Bros, this controller is awesome and it works really well. I just don't see this being a controller that pros would use, especially with that turbo functionality. Time will tell how this thing holds up with intense use, but so far it has been going strong for me. The Wizard is a great controller for Super Smash Bros, all things considered. I was surprised how much I enjoyed using the Switch in handheld mode with these things. I thought it would be weird at first, and don't get me wrong, it was, but once I got used to it, it was really nice. These things definitely make the Switch huge, but the comfort and feel that they offer is amazing. I really like it. One of the things that I was surprised to find out though is that the Wizard does have rumble built in, which is a cool touch. Many controllers like this opt to skip out on adding rumble entirely, but the Wizard has it, and it has good rumble at that. It's not over the top or anything like that. In my opinion, it's just the right amount. As far as battery life goes, the Wizard is just okay. It's rated at 8 hours of playtime per charge, so battery life isn't the greatest here. Compared to the 70 hours that you get with the official Switch Pro controller, or even the 20 hours with a regular Joy-Con, the Wizard is quite low. The good news is that you don't have to worry about this when you have them attached to your Switch, so if you're mainly using them like that, this isn't going to be a problem. If you aren't using them like that, each piece of this controller has a USB-C port to power them up when you're low. below. So a downfall to this controller is the charging setup. You have to plug in each of these things individually to charge them up, which is kind of a bummer. Now that I've talked a lot about the Wizard, I think it's time for a comparison between the Wizard and the original GameCube controller. Here we go in 3, 2, 1. Okay, so here we are with a quick comparison between the original GameCube controller and the NYXI joypad. Now, this is an original launch day GameCube controller, so it's over 20 years old. Nonetheless, it's one of my favorite controllers of all time, and I just want to do a little comparison showcasing the difference in the buttons and things like that. So first, let's start things off with the trigger buttons. Now onto the NYXI. You can hear they're much more clicky than on the original GameCube controller. Move on to the regular buttons. Over to the NYXI. Feels kind of similar, not quite the same. Joysticks. Over to the original GameCube. C-stick is definitely different, but the main stick here feels a little similar. Nonetheless, the NYXI here is a great homage to the original GameCube controller that we know and love. It's not exactly the same, the buttons are different, but this does do a good job replicating the feel of this original classic controller. So is the NYXI wireless joypad worth it? I would say yes. I like this controller a lot. If you like GameCube styled controllers, you're going to love this thing too. The Wizard is an awesome controller that feels familiar and has a ton of great features packed inside. I wouldn't say this is a controller for competitive Smash play or anything like that, but I would say it's more for, you know, casual gaming with friends, hanging out, having a good time. This is a great controller for that. The Hall effect joystick is great for eliminating any type of drift. The buttons are smooth and feel nice. The triggers are clicky and responsive. The turbo functionality is cool. It's super easy to swap out the joysticks and rings around them if you want. And overall, it's just a comfortable controller to hold in your hands. However, as good as it isn't perfect. Like I mentioned a few times throughout this video, your Switch becomes huge when the Wizard is attached. The build quality is kind of plasticky and battery life isn't the best with about 8 hours of playtime. So yeah, it could definitely be better. If you can live with its faults though, the Wizard here is a great all-around Switch controller, especially if you're a fan of GameCube controllers like I am. So that's about all I got for this video, my friends. I hope you enjoyed it and found it helpful. If you did and you liked what you saw, you know the drill. Be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button because it always helps out the channel. Also, don't forget to follow at Raymond Strazdas on Twitter and Instagram for much more. Until the next one, I will catch you guys later. Peace!